Thank you so much for taking the time today. I first wanted to ask you, your name was formerly Jess Weimer, and then you now go by Jessica Marr. And I was wondering what kind of inspired the name change, or what made you decide to do that?
Well, funny you should ask, and you actually said part of the reason, maybe without realizing it. But my last name is Weimer, actually, and it looks like no, it's totally fine because it looks like Weimer. In
Hmm.
fact, I don't know what my family, my ancestors were thinking because I know it was probably originally like German, like Weimar, but
Right,
they were like, "Oh, you know what's a great idea? Changing it to sound like Wiener." Because all kids love a last name that sounds like Wiener.
for
So
sure.
not only does it look like Weimer, but it sounds like Wiener. And the very first time I ever received radio play, like FM radio play, they were like, and now we're presenting Jess Weimer. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so and I always go by Jess. Everyone calls me Jess. And I kind of was thinking, like, this, I don't know about this. Like, I was feeling like, maybe this was like a sign that I should change my name, but nothing really felt authentic. I was like, I don't know, I didn't feel like a Lady Gaga or anything like that really resonated with me. And then I had a dream one day after letting it go. I was kind of like, whatever, if it's meant to be, it'll be. Otherwise, I'm just Weimer, Weimer, Wiener for life. And I had a dream where I was sitting looking at this like bookshelf, and there was some kind of guiding like force by me. And they were like, look in front of you. And I was like, I don't see anything. And they go, well, here, let me help you. And they reveal this like plaque that's, or like, it almost looks like a bar of soap. It's lavender and it says Jessica Marr. And they go, there's your artist name. And I went, there it is. And I woke up and I was like, uh, okay, I guess my artist name is Jessica Marr. I never go by Jessica. And Mar, I was like, I speak Spanish, so
Mhm.
El Mar means the sea in Spanish, and I have a strong connection to like the sea and dolphins. So I was like, that could be. And then later I found out we did a little like 23andMe heritage. We have Scottish and Irish heritage. I didn't even know. And there's an
Okay.
ancient Celtic tribe called the tribe of Mar. And so I'm like, okay, I don't know what happened here, but we got it. We received it. Jessica Marr, that's the name. Done. So that's my long-winded explanation and answer to your question.
No, that is amazing, and it's so funny, as soon as I said Weimer, like, as soon as, like, it came out of my mouth, I'm like, "I messed that up, like, that's not right." Like, I know something's wrong. Um,
Everybody does. That's why it
okay.
was not sustainable as an artist name. It's like you got to have something that people can pronounce, you know?
Right. Well, and the fact you got that one from a dream, from, like, I mean, I don't argue with the universe, so I'd be like, "Yes, whatever you say." Like,
Yeah,
no, for
same.
sure.
I've got my singing bowl and my crystal there. I don't argue with the universe either.
Mhm, mhm. Are you I feel like I have to ask this question. Are you a water sign by any chance? Like a connection to the ocean, the sea?
So I am actually an air sign, and I kind of have a theory because I have a lot of air and fire in my chart. I
Mhm.
feel like water, the reason why I connect to it is it's because it's the element that I'm really meant to like seek for healing. So I
Right.
feel like it's kind of like the missing piece to the puzzle, if that makes sense.
No, for sure. I feel like that kinda, like, balances out everything.
What about you? What's your sign?
I'm a Scorpio, so water sign for sure. Scorpio sun, Pisces moon, Leo rising. So
Oh,
I
you're
guess
Leo rising. Oh, that's cool. I'm a Venus in Leo. So, but
okay.
that means that yeah, that makes sense why you're so great at interviews because you're good at like being on, like being able to like show up. That's really great. That's so cool. And Scorpio sun, my dad's a Scorpio. So I
Okay.
know like don't cross a Scorpio, you will get iced out.
No, for sure. It's
Yes.
so funny because like, I only know, like, so much about zodiac, like, but, like, I love talking to other people about it. Like, I could listen to someone just, like, go through my birth chart, and I'm like, I don't really know, like, kinda what you're saying, but I just enjoy it so much. Like, I love people who are, like, so into that. Like,
Yes.
definitely respect it for sure.
I've been getting more and more into it because I'm a musician and a mindfulness practitioner, and actually
Mhm.
one of the ways that I've really begun to understand myself is through astrology. And so I'm a Libra sun. I just had my birthday,
Oh, happy
and
birthday.
thank you. So I'm a Libra sun, an Aries moon, and an Aquarius rising. And I don't know if you know, right now we are having the Aries moon, full moon it's an Aries full moon and it's Libra season. So I'm like
Mm.
feeling extra activated right now
No,
for
for
those
sure.
for those like of well, I guess if for you, if you're like kind of open to it, it's really cool knowing just like what's going on in the collective energy. Obviously, your own thing is the most powerful thing, but like if you're interested in it and it's fun, then it can be a cool little tool.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like again, I'm not like super like hardcore into it, but like every once in a while, like if like there's a full moon or if, like I think recently we had like a blue moon or something that happened. And it's so funny because like around that time I was having like really weird dreams and I'm like, all right, what's happening? And then I looked it up and I was like, all right, this makes sense. Like this explains it.
It could
But yeah.
definitely happen that way. A lot of people have weird dreams during the full moon. And also, this is a fun fact. Hospitals typically report more childbirths on full moon nights. And my friend
Wow.
who was a nurse actually confirmed that. She's like, yeah, we have an influx of people coming in for deliveries, baby deliveries on full moons. And I was delivered on a full moon, so
Oh wow.
who knows? Who knows?
Right.
It's cool
um
stuff.
no, for sure. You mentioned earlier mindfulness also, and I wanted to like talk to you a bit about that because I'm like fairly familiar with mindfulness, but not too much. So I kind of wanted to ask, like, what does mindfulness mean to you?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people are not super familiar with it. Like we know it kind of as a buzzword, but it's not something that we're like not taught, or socialized or like programmed, so to speak, to be mindful. We're just kind of like, you go to school, you answer, you get things done, you get a job. Like it's a very like da 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 da. But really, mindfulness is all about like just pausing and recognizing like the present moment. Like in a nutshell, mindfulness is being fully present in the moment, which
Hmm.
is kind of a way to slow down time and really appreciate the gift that is life. I mean, life is so precious. Like you never know when you're going to go. So mindfulness is kind of that answer to living as fully as possible. So that is like a super like condensed version of it, but it's also for me tied into what makes you your most authentic and what makes you your best self is being mindful, because it's just like that element of awareness
Hmm.
that can be like, okay, oh, this is like, this feels good, this doesn't feel good, like this is when I'm at my best, this is when I'm at my worst. Like just kind of that curiosity and awareness that really makes you a better person. And then when you're a better person, everybody benefits, because the people in your life, like the people you work with, everything you do, it like ripples out. So
Hmm.
that's why I love it so much.
No, for sure. I like that you say it like helps you, but then it's not like it's kind of a self practice or like it's all about self awareness, but then from that you're kind of helping those around you as well. So
100%.
like
Yeah.
everyone benefits from it.
Exactly. It's like you can lead by example, but also like you just showing up in the world as a better person, you're automatically going to do better. You're going to have a more profound impact. So
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, it's a win-win situation.
Right. What are some which I know this it doesn't really have much to do with like music or anything, but I'm like curious, how do you kind of practice mindfulness?
Oh my gosh. Well, it is a practice. So it's like something that even when it's part of what I do, I'm always coming back to it. There's always room for improvement, and I'm human. So I go through the whole, spectrum of emotions on any given day, especially as an artist, as a musician.
Right.
How people in the music industry can be. But I typically, I mean, I don't even want to say typically, because I pretty much I meditate every day. So every morning when I wake up, and this is like something that I would actually love to recommend to people, is to be extra intentional with your waking time. Like when you
Hmm.
first wake up, because Marissa Peer, who's like a kind of a thought leader and author, like an inspirational speaker that I love, she says, you every day we wake up with a choice in the morning to go, ugh, or yay. And even though yay feels like ridiculous when you're tired and you have whatever, but it's like, wouldn't you rather live like, that's the kind of delulu I'm talking about. Is
So
like
true.
you be the yay delulu because it feels better and you're a better person. So I practice mindfulness through meditation and journaling. I also host events in the music and mindfulness space. So not only do I have like a monthly, or I mean, it's technically a monthly subscription, but we have weekly offerings with this group called Mindful Music Mondays, where we meet and I guide everybody in live meditation. We do a song recommendation that's uplifting, and then I give them like a mindfulness technique invitation that they can practice that week. And then every time I have a concert, I incorporate like take a breath, like check in, like do you have some RBF? Are you like squinching your face? Like I just invite people to like have fun at the concert, but also be like aware of how they're feeling, because oftentimes I find myself like with my furrowed brow and I'm like, no, no, like chill
Right.
out. We don't need the case of the RBF. So those are just like some basic ways that I practice. I also like I can nerd out as far as you might like humanly imagine on mindfulness, but like just like to sprinkle it in, those are some basic ways that I practice.
Yeah, well, and I think it's cool that because I was gonna ask also, like, I love that you tied in with music or like you tied in even to like live concerts, like with fans or like concert goers and stuff. And so I guess like kind of going off that, do you incorporate it like, are there other ways that you incorporate mindfulness in your music?
Yes, there are actually, and you're the first person to ask me that question,
Oh, wow.
but I have had an answer ready for that for a while. I
Okay.
actually not only share music with a message, like every song I create is with intention. It's not just like, which there's so much validity to just creating something that is an expression of you. For me personally, the way I make music, it's like it's something that's either empowering or encouraging or uplifting, or it's something that people can relate to, like the human experience, or something where it's like there to serve as something that can help people heal. And I actually set an intention with every song I create. I'm like, okay, we're setting the intention that people feel inspired, or for this one, or that people feel empowered for this one, or for this one, like they feel like seen and understood. So I kind of weave that in. That's a little bit more energetic, but I
Mhm.
also, in the creation process, it's like really there. And I always share the message behind the music when I'm releasing it too. Because, like, for example, my most recent release, Broken Heart, it's all about breaking cycles. So I talked a lot about the cycle breaking intention behind that song when I was really like gearing up for it and getting people excited about it. But yeah, that's one of the ways I incorporate it. I'm sure there's so many other little things that I do, but that's a big way I use mindfulness with my music.
Right. No, and I love that. I love that you're like, yes, I have an answer. Like, let me tell you.
I
um,
was ready.
right. But I'm glad you bring up Broken Heart also because I did want to talk about that song. I think it's super like I mean, like you said, there's obviously like an intention, like a message there. Um, and I love how like it's kind of edgy, like it's kind of like spicy a little bit. Like I really do like that about the song. But kind of tell me a bit about like what inspired it or what made you kind of want to write a song about that.
Well, I love that you picked up the like spiciness and edginess, because it is like I was telling people, this one is spicy. It's a little sassy, and it
Hmm.
can come across. And if this is what it is for people, that's fine. It's open for interpretation, but it can just be like a sassy, fun pop song. For me, it was kind of inspired by a comment that one of my friends made, like a few years. Oh, this was years ago, where she said something like she was complaining about this guy she was dating who had that like pretty boy attitude without the pretty boy looks to back it up. And then I just remembered my mom saying, "Look out for the pretty boys." And she was kind of sharing that she'd always been warned about it. And it just like spiraled in my mind of like, one, why do certain people get a pass to behave poorly based off of like social standards of beauty? Like, why is that okay? Two, why do we think that people who don't meet those standards need to compensate with their behavior? Three, why are we living in fear of like looking out at what other people can do, especially programming this for women and for girls, like look out, honey, look out. And I was like, honestly, this is so much like programming that's really unhealthy when we're really our own most powerful tool, and everything we're being taught is like cutting us off from the fact that we have the most power in our own lives. And so it's all about like reclaiming it, and it's kind of sassy in the way where it's like, I was the danger all along, where it's like we are our best asset and our worst enemy, you know? So it's like don't let that programming of fear and blame of like, oh, it's all my mom's fault. Like she's the one who programmed me. So now I'm a heartbreaker because my mom, it's like all of it comes back to you. You have to take the reins of your own life. So I was like, how can I make this message like into a song? And then Broken Heart was born.
No, I love that. They're like pop off, like for real. Um, I love that, like you said, it can be this kind of fun pop song, but there really is so much like underneath the surface. Like it really touches a lot on like kind of like how we like how how society like raises women, I guess, or like how kind of like what you were saying earlier, like maybe instead of telling women to like, oh, watch out for pretty boys, like maybe we should teach boys to like be better. I don't know.
Oh, I know. That oh my gosh, I
Hot
will get
take,
on my
but
soapbox. You'll get me on my soapbox right now. I'm like, how is it that we're being taught like carry pepper spray, like self-defense, like put your keys. I'm like, how about we teach little boys consent?
mhm,
Don't rape. Like
mhm,
let's maybe start there. Like,
mhm.
how is that not a thing? Anyway, yeah, girl, you'll get me on my soapbox for sure.
I would be right up there with you, so it's
We'll
totally
both get up
okay.
there.
Right. No, I mean, even just like I mean, like, yeah, like, even, like, as kind of a young woman, I'm even told, like, "Oh, you're gonna go out wearing that?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, like, why not?" And said, like, "Well, you need to watch what you wear," instead of, like, "Let's teach boys not to
Mm.
target girls for what they wear," and
Girl, you
yeah.
just gave me chills. Like you
But
gave me chills with that. That is so true,
I'm
so
sick of it.
profound.
I'm just sick of it.
Same. Me too. This means same in sign language, by the way. So if you ever
Okay.
see me being like, it's not mahalo, it's of this means same.
Right.
Same.
No, but, yeah, literally, that's me on my soapbox, like, I feel I'm right there with you for sure,
It's so bogus. Yeah. And
yeah.
that's why I'm like, it's time. Like, and this is why, and this is kind of sorry deviating off of, but like also piggybacking off what you just said. Like, I
Mhm.
think it's why it's time for people, the people in power to be, you know, humans with intention and pure heart. Like, unfortunately, we're living in a society that's never going to just automatically change itself. We have to be the change. And that's why we need women in power. That's why we need people who genuinely care about fellow humans in power. That's why we need uplifting, empowering music in mainstream pop, like top 40 stations. Like we need to be pumping people with a message of like love yourself and each other instead of like tearing each other down and rage and like collapse and hate. It's like, gosh. And also, you know, blame and also it's okay to take what you want. It's like where is the respect and the consent and the like the we're completely at a loss of the like healthy feminine energy. But again, we'll get
Yeah.
back up there on that soapbox if I keep going.
Right. Well, and I like that you kinda mentioned that, like, a lot of music, it's not really I mean, some of it is empowering, but I get what you're saying, like, there a lot like, music isn't really like, it's a I think everyone's, like, really angry, or I think everyone's kind of, like, in their villain era, so we kinda, like, forgot to, like, maybe just treat each other with respect or kinda lift each other up, and, like
Yes, I agree.
yeah, I never really thought about that until you said it, and now I'm like, "Huh," like, yeah, no, you're right, like
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. And honestly, it's cool that you just said everyone's in their villain era because I actually have been telling like talking to my friends who we nerd out on like intentionality and whatnot. I've been like, I'm so strong as my own hero era. I'm not worried that I'm your villain or your hero. Where it's like
hell yeah.
when when you become so strong in yourself, I'm just telling you, like, it might seem backwards to be like selfish is the way to be, but like when you are full of yourself, as in like there's no room for other people to come in and insert their mold, you are a better person. Like you just do better. You can care for people. You can't pour from an empty cup. So I'm like, when you take care of yourself first and you're authentic first, that's when you make the most difference. That's when you help people the most. Like we're going at it so backwards, like telling people, oh, if you want to be a healer, you have to give, give, give until you have nothing left. And it's like, that's why we don't have enough healers and that's why we're not strong is because we're taught it's either take what you want or give until there's nothing left when it's really like give to yourself so that you can overflow and give to others.
I love that analogy.
Thank
Like,
you.
that is so perfect.
Thank
Um,
you. I'm clearly very passionate about it, so sorry I'm getting
yeah.
hyped.
No, I love it for sure.
Thank you.
Like, it's definitely, like, making me think now just about, like, music nowadays or just, like, I don't know, I'm definitely kinda thinking about, like, the bigger picture and how, like, yeah, a lot of music is just very, like or not even just music, just, like, a lot of people, like, are just I don't know, like, with everything, yes, I'm, like, agreeing with, like,
Yeah,
just definitely, like, people are just forgetting to, like, kind of, like, lift each other up and just kind of, like and not even kinda like what you were saying, people are either like, "I'm gonna take everything," or or they give too much, and, like, both are neither one is good. Um
exactly. It's like extremes, but that isn't that kind of like the world we're living in right now are these extremes. It's so divisive when it's like, can we maybe like figure out what lights us up and then some common ground instead of being
Mhm.
like just pointing fingers and like taking and hating and it's just like yeah, it's time for change. We are growing in a lot of ways and we still have a long ways to go.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, we're better than in the past, for sure, but also, like, we're not done yet.
Exactly. You said it, girl.
Right.
100%.
I do like too, like, how it all kind of seems to come back to mindfulness or, like, what mindfulness means, like, just self-awareness, like, kind of focusing on the present, like, what needs to get fixed, whether it's with yourself or with, like, your community or whichever, so
Totally.
hmm.
It's kind of like that was the missing piece of my puzzle, like especially before, when I was making music under a different artist name, I always had that desire there, but I couldn't really pinpoint it or put my finger on it, but it was really like that healing element was kind of missing. And so once I realized, oh, it's music and mindfulness, that's when I felt like the puzzle was complete, and from there I could
Right.
go on. So it's cool that you also notice that. Very very intuitive of you.
But kind of switching gears a little bit, I did wanna talk about Broken Heart that is kind of ahead of your new album coming up, right? What can
Yes.
you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is an album that's been in the works for a while now. And I definitely am excited to get back to California because I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I live in Texas now. I used to live in LA and I moved out here because my partner lives out here. So I moved for love. And everybody in Texas loves to remind me that all of the Californians are raising their prices. I'm like, I'm sorry, I came for love, I swear.
Literally.
But yeah, but when I was there, that's what I was working with my two producers that I mean, I work with a variety of producers, but I have two guys that I typically write and record with. One's name is Mart Özkan. Özcan. It's Turkish, so I'm always I'm always doing my best to pronounce his name. And then Beto Vargas is the other, and they used to have a studio together. Now they each have their own individual studios. One is the Record House, and one is Beto Vargas Productions. And so we actually collectively have been working on this album. I wrote everything and they produced it, and I'll even help them like with the some of the composition and co-producing like with ideas and whatnot. But that's been in the works for over a year now. So I'm excited to continue releasing single by single. We're gonna do hot take is single by single release. So we're looking towards end of 2024 full album drop by the end of 2024. And it'll be just self-titled like Jessica Marr, and a lot of songs have evolved and changed on there because I went through such a huge life change myself. I
Right.
was in LA and California for 12 years, and I was in a 7.5 year long relationship and had this community and like just this whole life, and then that ended and the community completely changed, and it was like my world, it felt like it was turned upside down, but it was one of those blessings in disguise to like when the universe is like, this is not working, not all of these people are your people, like this is not necessarily your place, like so that experience created some really profound like pain into purpose, like mess into magic type songs. So we've got some like the angsty songs in there, but again, for the intention of like helping people like feel seen and relating to it. And that's all like going to be continuing to come out probably. I'm guessing by the end of 2024, like I said.
No, that's awesome. Definitely like very excited to kind of watch that take shape or like kind of watch that like as all the singles come out before it.
Thank
I
you,
think it's super
Justice.
cool that you're in Dallas as well. Usually just because when people think music, it's either like LA, New York, or Nashville.
Yep.
Um, and I have family who lives in Texas, so I always have had kind of a soft spot for Texas.
Oh.
So yeah. Why I guess maybe a two-parter question. Why or no, you said why Dallas? For love.
Yeah,
Um,
for love.
right, which I think is so cute. I do love that.
Thank you.
What's kind of the music scene like in Dallas?
Yeah. So, and also, I mean, obviously, there's a huge music scene in Chicago too. I
Right, for
actually
sure.
used to have my publishing company was based in Chicago. They dissolved. They no longer exist. It
Mhm.
was Another Victory Publishing. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but I went out there. They like flew me out there for a couple music video shoots and things. It was really fun, and I saw that Chicago has such an incredible music scene.
For sure.
Yeah, as you well know.
Yeah,
Here in Dallas, it's very similar to, I feel like, Chicago, where it's like you can get a little bit of everything. It's not like just country. I think there's like the misconception about Texas is it's all country.
right.
And in Dallas, it's very much, it feels similar to LA for me in certain ways, but also reminds me of Kansas a little bit, where I'm originally from. So
Mhm.
it kind of feels like a hybrid of the two, but leaning more towards LA. So you'll find a lot of independent artists here. A lot of very well-known artists are from Texas, so I'm starting to find.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very like bold, booming music industry out here as well. And if anything, I feel like I'm almost noticing that, and this could also have to do more with like my own inner like stride and alchemy, but I'm feeling almost more seen and appreciated out here. And
Right.
even when I like travel back home and do shows like mini tours in the Midwest and Kansas and Iowa, I'm just feeling like sometimes it is great to be in LA and New York and Nashville, and other times there are other cities there for you.
Here, and I think those were honestly kind of all the questions that I had for you. Was there any like final thoughts or anything you wanted to add?
Um, I mean, I just would encourage people to, if they are interested in any kind of way of being supported with music and mindfulness, to check out my website. I have my subscription there where we have Mindful Music Monday. I also, if people sign up for my email list, will give people like little tidbits of wisdom and give people kind of like the inside scoop on the next events. And I do a lot of hybrid virtual and in-person events. So people can watch from anywhere. Like everybody in Chicago, when I do a virtual concert, they can tune in. And I've never experienced a virtual concert before in the way that I've done it. And it's been this like whole eye-opening like world of like, wow, you can really tap into communities. That's a gift from COVID. No, there weren't many, but one of the COVID gifts were virtual concerts are awesome.
Yeah. No, I definitely after I mean, COVID was awful, but the one
Yeah.
good thing was like, wow, we really have utilized like Zoom and all its uses for sure. So,
Absolutely. So yeah, I just would encourage people, if they're interested in being supported or like finding ways to incorporate more like empowerment into their lives, to sign up for my email list or check out my website, because and it's just jessicamar.com, because that's kind of where all the good stuff is at. Well, thank you so much again, Justice. I appreciate you, and I will talk to you very soon.
you too. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye. Thank you again.
Bye.